Okay, so before you go anywhere, why not check out my previous video here to get a grips of mechanics, dynamics and aesthetics, because this next bit will have a lot to do with what we talked about. Go on, off you go. If you already have, step on in for the next chapter. Hi, my name's Dave and I'm also known as Infected Flinch. What I'm going to talk to you today is about the idea of cohesion. During your time designing your game and you've managed to relay what mechanics of your gameplay work, you need to ensure that the player and yourself are on the same place together in terms of objectives and
feedback loops.
Woo! Whilst cohesion isn't a term that is used within the industry, it is one I've made up myself, and it may have a totally different term altogether. Because I'm special, alright? I just want to teach you things! So, with your newfound mechanics, dynamics and aesthetics, most games require a story, objectives, or the more technical term, narrative. Now, narrative is a spoken or written account of connected events. For a lot of people, narrative usually means a story, but in a grander scheme, it is basically the objectives or things you have to do in order to get through the game. This is where the idea of cohesion comes into most games. You have to ensure that your events, or the levels or objectives that you have created for your genre and game, match up to what the player expects with your MDA. Don't believe me? Trust me, narrative is more important than you think. Take a game like Left 4 Dead. Mechanics are introduced involving the 4 survivors. You need to get from point A to point B and ensure the infected do not kill you. That is your narrative in its simplest sense. There is obviously way more in terms of what is happening in the world and what is going on, but we shall talk about world building, plot and story in regards to cohesion in another episode. The first thing we notice though is that each player can practically do the same things. They do not have any advantages for being old, female, black or even a biker. Anyone can play the game and the events that are created with each character can be the same through each playthrough. This creates a sense of cohesion that anyone playing the game could be on the same level with their dynamics. However, the special infected, the team of bad guys and mutants, create chaos into the cohesion created between the 4 main players of the survivors, and these make the players change their ways of play. This creates feedback loops, moments of where one team can positively get over the other and tip the balance back. So you can have positive and negative feedback loops. The positive loops keep giving the player more and more to get a substantial lead in the game, whereas a negative feedback loop does the opposite. Imagine the survivors are getting pretty far, and they're really kicking arse, and then, oh my god, what is that? See, that is a feedback loop. The introduction of an element that manages to put things back into some sort of level playing field. It changes the narrative to have a level playing field with the other survivors and characters. Another good example of this is that bastard blue shell from Mario Kart. Now the problem is with feedback loops is that they can potentially wreck a game. As you could tell from my previous outburst, they can make games end faster, leave people behind, or even way in front, depending where you say you are in like a racing game. Or they can put a lot of strain at the beginning of the game. Racing games with the rubber banding effect where it tries to keep people in the game is the attempt of balancing out a game with strong feedback loops. You see this a lot in Mario Kart and Gran Turismo. Take another game created by Turtle Rock Studios, Evolve. This game from a personal standpoint I could not get to grips with at all, as it did not feel cohesive as their previous title, Left 4 Dead. Playing as the monster which hunts the other characters if found easily while sneaking around provides a quick and easy end to the game, allowing no build up or fair chance of actually playing, especially when everyone else knows what the hell they are doing. This creates an incohesive experience with feedback loops that impedes new players. It especially did for me, as I was wondering why I had to wait 20 minutes for a match to be made and then get killed in 2 minutes. I think that's another story for another time. So to wrap up, here's today's lesson with the first part of gaming cohesion. The gameplay within your project has to ensure that everyone has a level playing field. Iterations of your game idea and mechanics have to go through strong, rigorous testing to ensure that everyone has a fighting chance within the narrative of the title. Feedback loops will be present, both positive and negative within any genre, be it racing, first-person shooter, simulator, shoot-'em-up, puzzle game, etc. And it is up to the creator to make something that senses that the player is having too much of a good or a bad thing, compares it to other players to ensure that it is fair to others, and challenges but most of all, there is an activation of something to ensure that players feel that they are included and they have a strong cohesion of the game. The next part will talk about story and plot in regards to cohesion, because man, have I a few tales to tell on that one. My name's Dave, also known as Infected Flinch. Be sure to check out my previous video, and if you want to learn the basics of Unreal, you can click here. Also, you can go check out my main channel over here. Be sure to leave a like, comment and subscribe for more stuff. I do love the feedback you give. Ta-ta sauce!